Hi, welcome to my channel. Um, as you all know that I'm into birds. Have been since I was 13 when I got my first bird, which was a parakeet at the age of 13. And the dumb luck I had then, who knew nothing about birds, I don't know how I got it tamed, but it would fly to me on command. And I'm thinking of getting a conure next month. They're $500, so I got to kind of save up my money for it, but I may be getting one. Um, in San Diego, there were finches clubs, parakeet clubs, but there was no club for, I'll say this in a simple term, parrots. And in 1977, a club was developed, started in somebody's living room, called Hookbill Hobbyist of San Diego. Uh, they first came in the club, I believe, in 1977. They have won numerous awards from the San Diego Fair. In fact, when I belonged to them, I was at the booth with another person from the club who had a bird, happened to bring her bird, and the section they had usually wasn't a whole lot of people go down there, and we received a reward letter telling us because of our club, they had more people actually go down there. So people went by, saw it, mentioned it to other people. It spread through the fair. People were actually coming down to see our booth. Also, when people were caught trying to smuggle in parrots, the policy was not only to charge them, but they destroyed the birds. Yeah. Thanks to hookbill hobbyists and San Diego Zoo working together, got that changed. They no longer put down the birds. What do they do with them? They keep them, and when they get enough, they auction them off, which is better than killing them. That is thanks for good part to hobbyists. I started the club as just as the librarian. If somebody wanted to check out one of the books, they get the book. I'd write down their name. They had to bring it back at the next month's meeting. I went from librarian to doing the newsletter that I did, a monthly newsletter. I went from there to actually on the board as secretary because this was a official club registered as a not for profit club. Okay? So you had to have a board, and we did have our policy, like example of it, we had somebody on the board who wanted to get a conure to use to breed with the conure the club already owned. The secretary was not there that day, so it was put on hold. She went behind the club's back, bought a conure, and came to the bird meet want to be reimbursed. This was clearly a violation. It was decided that she needed to be booted out of the club. And they have a whole procedure. You just can't boot somebody out because you don't like them. Which meant the board had to meet, decide on it. Then the person you wanted to boot out had a right to talk to the board as to why they should not be kicked out of the club. She evidently got wind of this and decided not to face the embarrassment of a formal complaint, a formal booting out, losing her position out of the club, and she just quit the club. Um, they did end up giving her the money for the bird, so she had to turn the bird over. She also had, because the club had birds of their own, and the policy was they were kept in members' homes, and when they bred them, like if they had two babies, one went to the club, which was raffled off as members only. Uh, they got to keep one of the birds. Because we'd have a raffle table, and the only birds you would see there are like parakeets or cockatiels. Most of the birds, um, we would get people calling, not wanting their birds anymore. The club would take them and find them a new home. And San Diego, or anywhere else, as far as that matter, when a person was caught smuggling in a bird, they put the bird down. And San Diego wasn't happy with that. Hookbill hobbyist wasn't. Excuse me. Happy with that. So they teamed up. Hookbill hobbyist, San Diego Zoo, and put the pressure on, both publicly and privately, that the law was literally changed. They no longer kill the birds. Instead, they were kept, and when they got so many through the year, they sell them. And you get them much cheaper than if you bought them from a breeder. Because a lot of these birds would be smuggled out from the wild, which is illegal in the United States. So the birds you buy are domestically bred. Now, contrary to what you realize, parrots, parakeets, finches are not domesticated for hundreds of years like your cats and your dogs and your horses. They have every wild instinct that their counterparts have in the wild. Every last one. That's what makes them good pets, because in the wild, they're in a flock. Okay? They're in a flock for safety. So birds pretend to hide their illnesses because they will put the flock in danger, makes them easy prey. So the time you hear a bird showing symptoms of actually being sick, you got a very sick bird. And they would go to the fair, and nursing homes, hospitals, any place that they could go to talk about parrots, to educate. San Diego Zoo do have parrots, and every parrot they have came from individuals calling the zoo, say, hey, we got this macaw, we can't deal with it. The zoo would take them. And what their policy was, they would actually call hookbill hobbyists to give the bird to. And hookbill hobbyists would go out there and get the bird and find it a home. That ended when San Diego Zoo called the club. A person was assigned to go get it. Another member, and this member was kicked out, snuck over there and said, oh, Hookbill Hobbyist sent me to get the bird. They gave him the bird. They took it home. There was a big issue, and at that point, San Diego Zoo said, no more. We're not going to call you no more. Yeah. So she messed it up for the club. She messed it up for the birds. So if you ever go to San Diego Zoo, go in the early in the morning, and they come back with these like big dog crates where they got these macaws and what have you, and they open them up, and the birds fly, and they've been trained to fly to their stand. Go into the children's section, the, and that's one stand that the birds go to. I had that bird flirting with me. So they were real instrumental, and I discovered that the club is no more. It upset me. This club used to have 1,500 members. Okay? It was massive. COVID killed it. When COVID hit, they first tried going every other month, and then they just finally dissolved the club. I asked the person if they think they ever get it back started back up, and they says, "Well, we don't know. Just time will tell." I was also informed that most of the bird clubs have closed down. See, because what happened was, what hurt Hookbill was, they were the only club. But then people from North County says, "Well, that's too so far to go to the bird club. Let's start our own." So we lost members that way. Members died off. They moved. So when COVID hit, it just did them in. My understanding, only North County Bird Club is struggling, still hanging on. I mean, when I was down there, Bird Breeders Club, that was another club for parrots. They closed down. Mainly because people didn't want to, they want to go to the club, they want to buy raffle tickets, but they don't actually want to help the damn club. And the president and them, they decided to dissolve it because they just got tired of doing it. According to the bylaws, they could dissolve it without the members' consent. With Hookbill, they had to have a full vote from the board and members, because on the board there was a yearly election to choose president, secretary. Because we were not for profit, we had to have a board, which meant that we had to have a treasurer, we had to have a president, a vice president, secretary. So I did. I started out on a non-board, no voting rights as librarian, then newsletter, and still not, you could have a talk to about it, but you say it, but you really didn't have a vote. Then secretary, which I was on the board, had a vote. No, newsletter did have a vote. I take that back. The ones who didn't was the president could not vote. The only time he could vote if it was a tied, then his vote would break the tie. So I was really, really down. And the other thing, the president, Rusty, and Ways and Mean, his wife Cookie, both passed away. I had learned that, but I didn't realize the club had closed down at the same time. I had distanced myself totally from Cookie because of her attitude. I mean, seriously, your husband's got stage 4 cancer, and she was getting jealous of the attention he was getting, and actually complained to me about the attention he was getting, and I ended up chewing her out. I says, "Do you realize your husband is dying? He's fighting for his freaking life, and you're worried about him getting some attention?" And so I ended up distancing myself from her. So I felt bad that I didn't even tell her. I just totally I didn't even tell her. I just stopped calling her. She didn't know where I moved. She didn't know my new phone number, so there was no contact. She was just too self-centered. So I was a little sad that the club died. I asked if they would ever get it back up, and the person who had been on the board. She says, we don't know. You know, it closed out from lack of membership, people showing up because of COVID and what have you. As you know, we weren't having the 200-300 people in there. There'd only be like 50 to 75 people there. And we'd had members die off. Um, and when the COVID hit, well, then of course, members didn't come to the bird meetings. So we had zero membership. So the club was no longer bringing in money and could not sustain itself, and it could not survive COVID. COVID, the hell with you. So they closed down. I said, do you think they'll ever get it back started back up again? And she says, I don't know. Time will tell. So I pray that it will start up, because I really do. Because after my mother passed, I am going back to San Diego, and I thought it'd be great to get involved with the club again. Well, that's not an option. Okay, now, in the community, see, the reason I put that up is because I had just did a last 2-minute video, a nugget. It got over 200 views. Wow. I was so, and no, you're not going to hurt my feelings, because I recognize that most people aren't bird people. We're a peculiar group of people. We're not like you. Okay? Our birds come first. Well, second to your kids. But they even come before your man. I mean, I had a boyfriend one time when I had my African gray. Tried to tell me it was choice between him and my bird. I says, bye. See you later. The bird wins. But anyways, in the community, I asked, do you want me to put a small, maybe minute video of my babies? And if you do you want it in front of the video or at the end? I was thinking at the end, so that when people were watching my videos, if they didn't want to bother seeing the birds, they didn't have to watch that part to get to the main video. So there's 2 questions. Do you want me to put a clip on them in every video? And 2, if you do you want it in front of the video or at the end? The decision is yours. So happy diamond painting.